After realignment in your notes, you should have the next slide would be history of third parties. Remember, Kenora asked me last week why third parties will never win, or why do we think third parties will never win? Well, third parties have had some support throughout United States history, and probably the most infamous third party was led by this guy, who is Theodore Roosevelt. Okay, and he was the leader of the Progressive Party, or like we like to call it, the Bull Moose Party, just because it sounds a little bit cooler. Okay, the reason why, one reason why third parties don't really get a lot of support from the people is because they tend to have extreme ideologies. And if you remember talking about the political spectrum, from, let me use the straight line, political spectrum, people tend not to be on the fringes or at the extremes, but people tend to be at the middle. All right, so most people are here. Well, third parties tend to be over here, kind of far to the left or far to the right. So it's really hard to get elected when you sound like you're coming from this extreme, or you sound like you're coming from this extreme, when really people just want to hear you be more moderate. Okay, third parties tend to be one or the other. They're either ideological or splinter. Okay? An ideological party is one that, again, is really liberal or really conservative. Or a splinter party is one that splinters or breaks off from either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. So they splinter or break off from one of the major parties. And that's what Teddy Roosevelt did. Teddy Roosevelt, he was a Republican. He didn't get enough support from Republicans, so he broke off from the Republican Party and thought that he was going to be able to be elected as president as a third party candidate or a splinter party candidate. Didn't work out, but we love him anyway. Okay. The effects of third parties. They can make some contributions that are good. Okay, so they can have some positive contributions. One thing they could do is bring to light issues that the Democrats and Republicans aren't addressing with legislation or with laws. There are problems that the Democrats and Republicans aren't solving. And so they can bring to light those problems. And once the third party brings those issues up, then the Democrats and Republicans are forced to take care of them. That's something Ralph Nader was really good at doing. Ralph Nader was a Green Party candidate 2 election years in a row. And one thing Ralph Nader liked to point out is problems with pollution. He would point out how global warming was affecting the planet and that we needed to do something about carbon emissions. And he made such a fuss that the Democrats and Republicans then had to listen to him. Okay, and the Democrats especially started to make legislation or propose laws that would reduce pollution. So he made enough of a stink, and the major parties did something about it. They bring new solutions to problems, those third parties do. They can maybe come up with a problem or a solution to a problem that the Democrats and Republicans didn't think of. And they can encourage people who would not have participated in politics or would not have voted. Maybe they can get those people excited enough to vote or participate in politics. Remember, one of the trends since the 1970s is people are becoming de-aligned. They're not wanting to be a part of the Democratic or Republican coalition. So they're trying to find new people to support. A lot of times you'll hear young people wanting to support the Libertarian Party. Libertarians believe in legalization of most drugs. They believe in low taxes. They believe that we should not be involved in international conflicts. And the other two parties aren't addressing those independence wants and needs. So those people will maybe participate if they have a libertarian candidate to vote for. Now, there is a negative effect of third parties. And the negative effect of third parties can be seen particularly in the effects of this good old election right here. Oh, I didn't get the... Okay, in the 2000 election. Now, in the 2000 election, Ralph Nader also ran for president. And Ralph Nader was kind of liberal, and he ran under the Green Party ticket. Or he might have been... No, I think he was Green Party. Yeah, he was Green Party. So he ran under the Green Party ticket. Now, because he was liberal, he took some support away from Gore. So people who would have possibly have voted for Al Gore voted for Ralph Nader instead. That meant that there was more support for Bush in states that Al Gore needed to win in order to win the Electoral College. So the negative effects, and we will talk about all of that more when we get to Electoral College, but the negative effects is that your third-party candidates, like Ralph Nader, can be blamed for throwing an election or causing a person to lose because liberals might be split between two candidates, a Green Party candidate and a Democratic candidate. So make sure you fill in all your blanks. And what you're going to do after the notes is complete a guided reading. And you're going to use the online textbook to do that guided reading. You're going to look at chapter 5. Okay? But that's all the notes for today.